think almost organically grew out of the work that the team has been doing to advance the just the IT service management improvements in house. So that just from the context, it's all real world data based on real world challenges that we've been seeing. So with that, I think I'm going to turn it over to Todd. I don't know if Todd, if you're going to be driving or if you were going to have Josh drive.
Yeah, I was going to probably go ahead and drive. Can you guys hear me okay?
You can, yep.
All right, here, let me share my screen. So we actually wanted to show a couple different maps. I don't know how you guys want to do this in terms of time. Let me know if you can see my screen.
We can see.
Okay. So I don't know, Josh, if you could forward the link over to Austin. I thought you guys had it, but maybe not. So this is, we've got a couple different map implementations I wanted to show. This is the first one, and it's more of a straightforward implementation, but it's utilizing the CMDB and a lot of our facilities data. And so what we did is we're leveraging the ESRI JavaScript API, and we're calling it directly from within ServiceNow through UI page, and accessing the CMDB directly as well through this. And the integration here has been very well received on many fronts. But a couple of things I wanted to show you is that you can see as you click around on the map, you can see images. But really, the ServiceNow side of this that's so powerful is that you have all of these workflows that we can access directly from the map. So if we wanted to create an outage or a facilities request directly from any item that we can click on the map, it pops up an iframe directly here, leverages the service portal. So all the great work that we've done within ServiceNow can all be leveraged right here through the map. So I could fill this out and submit it, and it would get, and the nice thing about it is it gets, one of the biggest challenges that we had, and this is what kind of led us down this path, is that we had a challenge picking the right CI. And I'm sure that other people have expressed that to folks on the ServiceNow side, it's challenging. And so through the map, it actually pre-populates the CI here. And so it allows that to be done. We also are leveraging the CMDB to actually manage the layer list that's chosen here. And it's you know, so you can turn on and off different layers, and we have a lot of different things within each layer. And so this is a really great way for our facilities team to even manage their items directly from the map. So this pulls up a dashboard of their stuff, of their CIs that they can manage right here, almost as if it's a spreadsheet, but much more flexible and interactive. If I wanted to see the different things that involve water, it shows all of those right here. They can also, you know, as with any dashboard here, manage their requests. So they can really do a lot of real work directly from the map. And so you can click through here, and again, you get all of these different, if you want to create a change on this thing broke, you just, you would create a change, and it automatically, like I said, pre-populates the CI, and you go, so that context awareness, I know that, you know, on the ServiceNow side, you guys are trying to solve this with workspaces. At the end of the day, having 20, 30 Windows tabs open with ServiceNow is not ideal. This also addresses it in a different way. So this is a more basic map. It doesn't have, it's kind of flat in the sense that it doesn't have it has relationships within the CMDB, but not in the same way maybe as our operational map that I'm going to show. But before I show that, are there any other questions? First of all, I want to kind of build to more and more complexity in terms of our maps here.
Was this the way that you lay the things that are on the map? They can be objects in ServiceNow, the layers, or they can be objects in ESRI, either way?
Yes, so these are actually objects all within the CMDB. This is, every one of these things is that I would click on is a CI in the CMDB.
Okay, so we don't have to bring that. We don't have to bring that into ESRI in order to be able to put it there. We just get it right out of ServiceNow.
Right, because
Awesome.
the CMDB is essentially sort of a database kind of through a JavaScript, Java layer, and so and that also makes it very fast and responsive. Is that the ESRI maps are within ServiceNow, so we're not calling it outside and bringing data out. We're just accessing it right here within the platform inside of ServiceNow.
Cool.
Right, so really rendering it, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So then, Todd, the only thing that's coming from what we would call ArcGIS Online, right, like our SaaS platform, is the base map.
Right, it's the base maps, and we can change the base map here very easily. Zoom in. There's, yeah, and so this is ESRI's, as well as the various JavaScript APIs that we're calling to do different things that will show on another map. But yeah, so the JavaScript API from ESRI is very rich and has many features. One of which is even to be able to edit these things. If you click on it and you drag it, and it would actually update in the CMDB the location, and which is also in ServiceNow. So all the data about every CI, it's all in the CMDB. The location is leveraging the location table, but everything is in fact, to see that, you can even, you can do view CI, I think on most of these. Yeah, view CI. So this actually shows you the CI that this represents. So you can see it right here. I happen to pick one where we don't have an image. Almost all of them have images. So you can do that, leverage this directly from the CMDB. It's just a layer right on top. So it's fast, responsive, easy to use, and you have all the workflows of ServiceNow. Any other questions before I kind of show the next map here?
That was very cool.
Yeah, so this one we're really excited about. Like I was saying, the ability to choose the right CI can be a challenge. So this makes that easier. Here you can see our data centers, and they pop up here. But we can really allow people to leverage a ton of functionality. So I'm going to turn on a bunch of layers here that we have that are all CMDB layers, mind you. And so you can see in network and firewall, we have all of these things that show up and we can turn on and off. So this allows us to very easily, at one of our sites, if something goes down, if we say that this thing in Minneapolis, what's going to be impacted, this router, what would be impacted if this has issues? We actually are leveraging the change script that is run, and we say what affected business services would be impacted if this thing goes down. So this is super useful. Same thing for internet circuit. If we wanted to do we said, you know what, I'm on the network team and I want to make a change to this load balancer. We're going to take it down for maintenance. What is going to be impacted? It goes through and runs and says, here's what would be impacted from a business service perspective. And we can do that for any of these things. We could create the change directly from the map. We could say, you know what, this data isn't right. I don't think that's the right mapping or whatever. We can create a data request that will go to the CMDB team, filling out the correct CI and say, hey, please investigate. I'll just do that and say, it's an ownership of CI, and then it will create a data request for the CMDB team right there, and then I could go in here and see, okay, I'm on the database team. I just happen to know, here's my dashboard. Let's see if that got generated here. This is unassigned incidents, and here's one right here, the one I just created within our dashboard for the data request. you know, and we have all the flexibility of our Teams dashboard here. And we've got, you know, a tremendous number of things that would show up on the map here. We can also see, if I turn that off at a high level, let me turn that off too. Many different things, but one that is maybe of interest is even from ESRI office locations. Well, you know what? We also have CIs in AWS, so let's show those. Let's show Azure. We have things there, Google data centers, and you can see that this is throughout, you know, throughout the world. And then as we turn those on, we're having a problem with our an ISP or a power outage around the world somewhere, and it's as simple as let's turn on our ISPs. We didn't turn those on yet. It gets a little bit noisy at some point here, but you can see here's our internet circuit for here's our AT&T circuit, well, and our CenturyLink circuit for Zurich, Switzerland, and you know, we're having an outage or something. So outages will by default show up on the map, and those will also be matched to what we show in our system status dashboard, which also is just leveraging the CMDB. So currently doesn't look like we have any. If they did, they would show up here by default with the same color coding that we have here in the system status page. And so I could go in here and say, hey, what things, I have a few things here that I need to adjust. You know, I need to look at these for my approvals. And so I can do all of that, manage that while I'm using this functionality. If we're having a problem with this circuit, what's impacted? Probably it'll be that office. Yes, and it is. So this leverages all the mapping, the service mapping we've done in the CMDB over the last year plus, but it allows from a service perspective, from our global operations team, from network, from firewall, even if I go down, so this is what really gets kind of cool is if I go down into a rack in one of our data centers. Let me zoom in down into Redlands. We can actually see the individual racks that exist. Here's our point-to-point circuits. If I wanted to see, oh, this rack looks like it's got a lot of stuff in it. There's a Palo Alto firewall, and hey, we need to do a change against that. What's it going to impact? Let me find that out first. Here's the rack. Let me view the CI for this rack. And you know, if I wanted to additionally kind of look at maybe a graphical view of this, let's see if this comes up. This is leveraging tier 40, tier 44.
Yeah, Todd, I was going to say, I don't think anyone was seeing the racks. At least I wasn't. Now our view has changed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just catching
It
up.
wasn't just me.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
It was just taking a second there.
Okay. Can you see the racks now?
Can you see the maps with the square rendering?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
right. Yeah. So these are actually
the
the racks that exist in this data center. If I zoom out a little bit.
Hold on a second, Todd. I think we had a question.
Yeah, where do those images come from? The racks?
Those are part of just ESRI functionality for the way that we render those. We say, hey, create a square with this location, which is in the location table, and color it this color, but it's just a basic functionality of the ESRI software that you can use.
Oh, very cool. So that's an ESRI location, or is that out of the database in the facility space location?
It's in the location table inside of ServiceNow. It's the actual latitude and longitude that we've identified.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
You can do full cable management here. I mean, a lot of people want to see where the cables run, and that kind of looks like that type of software.
Yes, you can do a tremendous number of applications, including I'll show you on this next map a kind of what we have sort of as I'd say an indoors view. We have a product called ArcGIS Indoors that we're looking to also integrate this with. But this gives us the ability to do many things and really work from the map, essentially. Find the CIs that you care about. From an application service perspective, you could see, hey, where are my CIs for things? We're getting ready to migrate a lot of stuff to Vegas, and then we're leveraging the CMDB for that. And you can see the different application services that are affected there. We can call this, what things are we moving? You can call these nice visualizations that ServiceNow has right here on the map, and still, while this is up, interact with the map.
Guitar Hero.
Yeah, and I just want to highlight. So one of the things that we've seen, as Todd and team and has shared this with the rest of the organization, right? There's always been this challenge when we talk about CMDB of you're tying, physical infrastructure with business service, right? That's always been one huge linchpin. Adding the location capability has created a whole level of clarity and actually a confirmation step that we didn't have before, right? Seeing that relationship component, so that people, as Chris was alluding to, were visual, right? And recognizing where this ties into actually is an important step to say, okay, when I'm picking the CI and then understanding what this business service is going to be impacted, it validates it just almost immediately. And then the other thing that I think, Todd and team and Scott and the ServiceNow platform team have done is made it all actionable. Right, that's the other key thing, is that each one of these now becomes, whether it's we're susceptible to incidents and events, so to speak. There's the governance attribute of it. There's the relational attribute of it, is tying them all together so it feels very seamless from a workflow interaction. So that's probably the most exciting thing, is from a technical team's use case. This feels logical.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'll show you a couple more things real quick. This is sort of a more advanced use case. We have to tie a little bit more data together, but it's all still within the CMDB. You can see down here the racks sort of rendering even very small. I'm not sure if you can see that on my screen or not, but this is even for asset management. If you wanted to look at my team's assets, for instance, let me turn that on. You can see I actually sit right here, and this is my team, and these are their assets. If, some people miss it. They say, oh, it looks like the trees. If you wanted to see all of the assets at the organization, you can see these here. And these are just linked right to the items. You could see the list of the CIs. We could do those same actions against them. We could say, hey, this isn't right. We need to do a change. We need to do something against these things. So incredible flexibility. There's opportunity here. We've seen even for if we're doing asset tracking scanning, and you could literally watch an item, kind of move from the warehouse to our service delivery to a stock room to different places. There's so much potential here if to manage your assets. Here's our Mac assets, for instance. I mean, just really incredible views of data, leveraging the backend CMDB and assets.
Right, and just to clarify on that, so in this case, we're still retaining SAP as our system of record for assets.
Yes.
Right, and then the chain of custody really is based not so much on any kind of sensing device on the physical appliance. It's actually a representation of the chain of custody.
Right.
And that's our typical chain of custody too. It'll go, when it's ordered, it'll go in the invoice and everything, it will be in SAP. And then once we scan it into a inventory, then it usually comes in ServiceNow as a CI.
Right.
Yep. Perfect.
Right. Are there any other questions? One other one I wanted to show very quickly, that's even a little bit more of an advanced use case than this, but I think will be people will be very interested in terms of the way that you manage vulnerabilities. And so let's say that you want to manage your vulnerabilities, and to be able to have this same view of assets, but to see your systems and the associated vulnerabilities that are linked to the CIs. That's an incredible thing to be able to show here. Let me bring that over here. I'll move this out of the way. While I'm doing that, are there any other questions folks have? Austin Smith and Josh Simmons are also online here, and they're the two of the developers that have been helping with this, just done fantastic work. Really, really incredible stuff. Oh,
I got one quick question. Those are all UI pages that you're showing?
Yes.
Okay.
So if I wanted to see one other thing I did want to show that I think is so we've actually had people using some of these maps, and one of the frustrating things that they've run into, or one of the challenges, or they've given us feedback maybe, is I would like to be able to, first thing people want to do is drag this iframe. Well, whoops, I think we just making an update here.
Yeah, it still didn't fix that, by the way, Todd. So there's still going to be some issues with the iframe.
So here,
and resizing. Yeah.
Yeah. So here now I can now drag and resize this iframe within the map, so that I could have multiple ones. So we could set up basically different performance analytics reports alongside the data, and you can have more than one iframe as well. So if I wanted to also have this one, so they interact independently. So you basically got a canvas here to work from to create anything that you want to manage. And in addition to, we just got these working the other day, and you can resize them as well. I mean, this is the opportunities with this are really amazing. So that's going to be going in here soon. We got a couple of bugs to work out on that. So this is the vulnerability that I was talking about, and being able to see your vulnerabilities from a here, let me zoom in. That's probably, so these are like our open vulnerabilities that are critical and high at the company right now, and you could go and look at them. We could create incidents directly from here, and that's really the great thing with ServiceNow integrating here is now a security operations team can come in here and say, okay, where do you have the most vulnerabilities that are the high and the criticals, and what have we done this year even? What vulnerabilities have we fixed this year? Well, that's these. This is how much we fixed. So we've not really had this story in an effective way to be able to tell. This tells it very clearly. It's like, wow, the teams have worked really hard this year, which we have, but we just haven't had a clear way. This is a really nice way to show that how many vulnerabilities we've addressed already this year. You could look at a lot of different data. You could see all the vulnerabilities that exist right now versus the fixed ones. I mean, just super easy to see all this data, and it's super powerful. Again, could see the vulnerabilities. I think probably don't want to show those, but
yeah, well,
and then do the actions against them.
Right. I think the key thing there is with this whole premise of interlacing between our system of record, our system of transaction and engagement, right, and then this spatially enabled layer, right, is now these are attributes of these assets, right? We've just decided that looking at the attribute we're going to be taking a look at is a kind of a reverse view of, well, if we've got patching, what isn't patched therefore falls into this. But it could be the same thing. What's the effectiveness of our patching? What's the effectiveness of upgrades? What's the effectiveness of whatever it's going to be in a spatial table? So, just want to highlight that the vulnerability is not necessarily the capability, it's the use case. It's the alignment between space and asset that's the capability.
Right.
And John, I think about other things we've talked about, like potholes, and where has the city had work requests that come in, and where were those fixed, and communicating that outwards, right? If we have the location of that being tracked in the kind of sled space in ServiceNow, exposing that out back to the public of, hey, here is all the good work that the city has done.
Right, and that's basically the use cases that I've defined. It's in a little bit of a different UI rendering, so it'd be good when we get to our part, we could talk about that a little more. Because this is all on UI 16 and map pages, right? Have you done anything in widgets on the portals, or?
So I've actually started looking at implementing this within a widget. So we've looked at it, but it's not done yet. And I also want to point out that they're not necessarily all on the UI page. The UI page is calling a UI script that has all the library functionality. So all of these are really calling the same library, just with a different sysID as the parent mapping. So that defines the map, all the layers and everything within it. So they're not each individually coded as a UI page. They're UI pages that call a UI script. Just want to clarify.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so Russell, that should, I think a lot of what we're going to ask for is done in these things.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to kind of get this time together to make sure that we could talk about this, as we were starting to bump into some of the kind of limits of what was easy kind of right out of the box. I had a hunch that what's been done here really would address a lot of what we were talking about doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So I don't know if anything else we had in this section before we moved on, but do want to also call out, and I'm gonna say this candidly, is Todd and team, they're IT people who are aware of GIS. They're not GIS people, if that makes sense, right? I'm sure that if I had somebody from the dev team that was a pure GIS person and in the product and so on, but just an awareness, all this was accomplished from an IT person, sharp IT people who are aware of GIS and aware of their problems, versus we brought in a couple of hot shots in the GIS space, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's a great distinction, Terry. I think we also manage the database team, so we look at things from the relationships. And so as we got more into the CMDB and saw some of the challenges, we really saw that, well, this would be great if it was on a map. Hey, guess what? We work at a mapping company. Let's figure out how to make this work. I've been here a long time and I still don't really know how our software fully works. So this has been kind of a journey for us to learn ESRI software as well. So it's been great, but having kind of the knowledge of the workflows in ServiceNow and then learning ESRI software as we go has been a fun journey.
Very cool. So what would it take, like I know somebody to be interested in this right away. She's been asking me for it for a while, and she's an ESRI customer, but IT isn't using ESRI right now. Facilities is, but she wants to now use it to manage IT assets in addition to facilities. So would she just buy more licenses for her IT team? Is that kind of how that would work?
Yeah, I mean, I think we could look at the customer specifically, depending on how their licensing is. But, I think if somebody doesn't have a license, really, I mean, there's no real ESRI licensing to install, right? I mean, it's just, they may just need some more additional users or something.
Just some access. Okay, very cool. Good demo, guys. Thanks.
No, thanks, Todd. And